1800 hours, Pakistan Standard Time. Assalamu alaikum. This is Radio Pakistan. The news read by Aisha Nayab. First, the headlines. Prime Minister has announced a mega development package of 446 billion rupees for socio-economic uplift of the backward districts in Sindh. The National Assembly was informed today that situation has returned to normalcy in the country after the steps taken by government to deal with violent protest by a religious group. Federal Minister Azad has stressed the need to follow a structured approach for timely completion of reforms in power sector. Pakistan says durable peace, security and development in South Asia hinge on peaceful resolution of long-standing Kashmir issue. US Secretary of State says Washington will intensify its efforts to secure a peace agreement between Kabul and the Taliban. In Yemen, 36 troops and 60 rebels have been killed during clashes between government forces and Houthi rebels in Marib region. And now the news in detail. Prime Minister Imran Khan has announced a mega development package worth 446 billion rupees for socio-economic progress of the backward districts in Sindh. Addressing a check distribution ceremony under Kamyab Jawan program in Sakhar today, he said the materialization of the package will begin within a month. The Prime Minister said the package that includes Sakhar-Hyderabad motorway and of Naigaj Dam will greatly benefit the people of Sindh. He said the government will make every possible effort for uplift of the backward areas across the country and help the people of Sindh for improvement in their living standard. Imran Khan said the federal government disbursed 33% of the total funds among deserving families in Sindh under Ehsaas program during the pandemic. He said the network of Ehsaas program is being extended to 12 million people. Prime Minister Imran Khan has paid a special tribute to the police force for its heroic stand against organized violence intended to create chaos to blackmail the government. In a tweet, he said 4 policemen were murdered and over 600 injured. He said our nation is indebted to these heroes and we will look after the families of the martyrs. National Assembly was informed today that Pakistan's notified borders with Afghanistan are open for trade and business activities. Responding to a calling attention notice moved by Guldat Khan and others in the House today, Parliamentary Secretary for Interior Shaukat Ali said notified borders are Turham, Chaman, Badin, Ongord Ada, Ghulam Khan and Karlachi. The movers of calling attention notice emphasized the need for enhancing trade and economic relations between Pakistan and Afghanistan. They said more crossing points should be opened between the two countries to achieve the objective. Responding to points raised by minorities members, Minister for Human Rights Shri Mizari said a bill has been prepared against the forced conversions. Taking the floor, Minister of State for Parliamentary Affairs Ali Muhammad Khan said situation has returned to normalcy in the country after steps taken by the government to deal with violent protest of a religious group. He recalled that both houses of the parliament has passed a unanimous resolution strongly condemning the publication of blasphemous material in France. He said Prime Minister Imran Khan raised the issue strongly at every world forum. Federal Minister Chaudhry Fawad Hussain says scientific prowess in industrial biotechnology will enable humanity to fight the challenges of hunger, poverty, diseases and environmental degradation in an effective manner. He said this in his virtual inaugural speech at the inauguration of COMSAT Joint Center for Industrial Biotechnology in Tianjin, China. Fawad Chaudhry said this will also go a long way in improving our agriculture, healthcare and other areas of importance. Federal Minister Azad has stressed the need to follow a structured approach for timely completion of envisaged reforms in the power sector. Chairing a meeting on the power sector in Islamabad today, he said that time is of essence for reduction in circular debt, upgradation in transmission and distribution infrastructure, and improved service delivery in the power sector. Azad said facilitating the common man is the top priority of the government. This is Radio Pakistan. Foreign Office spokesperson Zahid Hafiz Chaudhry has said that durable peace, security and development in South Asia hinge on peaceful resolution of long-standing Kashmir issue. Responding to a question at his weekly news briefing in Islamabad this afternoon, he said both India and Pakistan need to discuss all outstanding issues, including the Jammu and Kashmir dispute, with a view to seek peaceful resolution of this long-standing dispute as per international legitimacy. He said Kashmir dispute remains central point to any meaningful engagement between India and Pakistan, but unfortunately, India vitiated the environment through its illegal and unilateral action of 5th August 2019. The spokesperson added that the onus is therefore on New Delhi to create an enabling environment for a meaningful and result-oriented dialogue between Pakistan and India. All parties Hurriyat Conference Azad Jammu and Kashmir has called for probe into the heinous war crimes by Indian forces against civil population in Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir. Addressing a protest against recent human rights violation by Indian forces in Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir in Islamabad today, the APHC leader said India will not succeed in suppressing Kashmiri's freedom movement forcibly. Speaking on the occasion, Kashmiri leader Mashal Malik said people of occupied valley are facing brutal human rights violations for the past 7 decades. The protesters chanted anti-Indian slogans and demanded halting of aggression against unarmed Kashmiris. In Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir, a senior APHC leader and the chairman of Anjuman Chereshian, Agha Sayyid Hassan Al-Musawi Al-Safavi, has reiterated that dialogue is the only way forward to resolve the Kashmir dispute. In his Friday sermon at Central Imam Bagha in Badagam, he said that the peace and development cannot be established in the region without the resolution of Kashmir dispute. Meanwhile, people staged a forceful anti-India demonstration at Jammu Masjid in Srinagar today against the continued detention of Hurriyat leaders, including Mir Wais Umar Farooq. Meanwhile, Indian police arrested several persons during house raids in downtown area of Srinagar. The U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken has said United States will intensify its efforts to secure a peaceful agreement between Kabul and Taliban. According to a statement issued after his unannounced visit to Kabul, Antony Blinken said Washington will also continue its humanitarian support to Afghanistan and advocacy for the rights of women and girls. He also warned the Taliban that any attack on American troops would be met with a forceful response. United Nations says it will maintain its political and humanitarian mission to Afghanistan despite the departure of US and NATO troops later this year. In a statement, spokesman to UN Secretary General Stephanie Dujarric said it is clear and obvious that troops' departure will have an impact on the country as a whole, but our work in Afghanistan will continue. In the United States, 8 people have been killed and many injured in a shooting in the city of Indianapolis. The gunman also took his own life at a scene after shooting. Police say that several injured have been shifted to the hospital. In Yemen, 96 people were killed during the clashes between government forces and Houthi rebels on several ongoing fronts in the Marib area. Yemen military officials said in a statement 36 loyalist troops and 60 rebels killed during clashes between the two sides. In the 4th and last T20 match series against Pakistan at Centurion, South Africa was 64 for 1 in 7 overs a short while ago. Earlier, Pakistan won the toss and decided to field. Pakistan lead the 4-match series 2-1. And finally, the weather. Rain with wind, thunderstorm and isolated hailstorm is expected in upper and central Punjab, Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, Gilgit-Baltistan and Kashmir during the next 24 hours. Now some of the headlines once again. Prime Minister has announced a mega development package of 446 billion rupees for socio-economic uplift of the backward districts in Sindh. The National Assembly was informed today that the situation has returned to normalcy in the country after the steps taken by the government. And that is the end of the news. For more news and analysis, log on to our website radio.gov.pk and also watch live video streaming of our bulletin on the link facebook.com/Radio Pakistan News Official.